we have been taking them to a judicial review recently. We've got an appeal coming up because they have a piece of legislation, Gender Representation on Public Boards Act, which says that they define a woman as anybody who has a female name or female titles or uses she, her as pronouns at work. So presumably this would mean that if you, Patrick, came into work tomorrow and said, today I'm Patricia, I'm using she, her pronouns, you could count as part of the GBNews' quota for their female team, according to the Scottish Government. And we thought that was a problem. We thought that didn't fit with the Equality Act, and we've decided to take them to judicial review. But they claim they have the right to redefine women.
Just talk to me a bit about this. What is the reaction amongst the general population north of the border? Because Stonewall have been advising the SNP for some time, and they're still in power. So is that tacit approval from the general population, do you think?
I think most people still don't know what's going on. And I think most people still think when you explain what's happening that it's utterly mad. I mean, probably a few years ago, I thought this was utterly mad, and I would have thought that people who are saying what I'm saying now must be mistaken, that this could never happen. Of course, this is ridiculous. And I think there's a real problem with how far the Scottish Government has been prepared to go down this route. And a lot of people just thinking that's completely absurd. They never do something that ridiculous, because it does sound ridiculous. It sounds insane.
People would say it's the total suspension of logic and medical fact. But, hey, you know, who could possibly say that's national television? But what's been the reaction to the deletion of the word mother from maternity policy on Stonewall's guidance?
I think that the podcast that Stephen Nolan did was brilliant, because it was a lot of this stuff is things that people have known about, but that was a really hefty piece of work that has brought it out to the general public in a much clearer way than I think we've had, and much more mainstream, even though, unfortunately, it's still only a podcast and it's not, say, on BBC Radio 4, which would be amazing. But it got it onto the Today programme, that conversation. So hopefully, with things like that being reported a bit more, we're going to start to hear a bit more of the pushback and the comeback. The important thing about this word mother, and the reason it matters so much, is this is a legally defined word. And when you work to try to take it out, I think what's going on here is the same that's happened with woman and the word woman. Because if you try to get it out of official documentation, these lobby groups can then come back later and say, well, hey, nobody's using this word. The Welsh Government aren't using it. The Scottish Government aren't using it. The NHS aren't using it. Let's use birthing person instead, because that's their preferred choice. And they...
Yeah, but that's strange. No one says birthing person, do they? No, I mean, that's not a thing, is it, really? I mean, technically speaking, it is. People do give birth, but that's not really, you know, chest feeders. You know, what's all that about? It makes it sound like a breed of animal. But anyway, when they're introducing gender self-identification, the Scottish Government says that changes will improve the lives of trans people while ensuring that the legislation doesn't affect the rights and protections that women currently have under the Equality Act. Where's the feminism in all of this?
Well, there isn't any, and this has been the issue that the podcast raised and that we've been raising, is that the government has only ever been listening to one side of this. They've had in this group who've done amazing work, and they've got other groups who say the same thing, who they also fund. And the problem with Scotland is it's a small, interconnected. Civic Scotland is small and interconnected, so it's liable to capture. And when you get these groups going in really deep into not just government, but other organisations, you are only hearing one side of the story. And the government has not been listening.